Look at the map, this 75-acre island. From above, the island barely registers. A thin curve of white sand, dense green vegetation, water so clear it looks shallow even where it is not. 75 acres in the Caribbean Sea, officially part of the United States Virgin Islands. No hotels, no roads, no signs welcoming visitors. Just one estate at the centre, surrounded by palm trees and silence. On maps, it is called Little St. James. To the people who lived nearby, it carried another name, spoken quietly, usually without explanation. The island was owned by Jeffrey Epstein. From the outside, there was nothing unusual about the property, at least not by the standards of extreme wealth. A large central residence with pale stone walls, guest villas positioned at a careful distance, 2 swimming pools reflecting the sun, a gym, and a helipad cut into the rock. Boats approaching the shore would see nothing that suggested urgency or danger. It looked like a place designed to disappear into luxury. What made the island different was not what could be seen, but what could not. No neighbours, no casual visitors, no chance encounters. The water surrounding it did not feel like an escape route, it felt like a boundary. Years later, investigators would hear stories from girls who said they arrived believing they were coming for work. Some said they were promised money for a massage.
Like, oh, do you need to make any extra money? I'm like, yeah. She's like, okay, I can give you like $200. It's this older guy in Palm Beach.
Others said they were told it would be quick, easy, harmless.
I really, really wanted this job, so I opened up to them.
Once there, according to their testimony, the rules changed. Passports were taken, phones disappeared. One girl later told authorities she tried to swim away. She did not make it far. The island was not just isolated, it was controlled.
Jeffrey Epstein.
Jeffrey Epstein, the man who owned it, had no clear public explanation for his power. In the 1970s, he taught mathematics at a private school in Brooklyn. He did not come from a wealthy family. He held no advanced degrees. Then, almost without warning, he entered the world of high finance. By the 1980s, he was advising individuals whose wealth placed them far beyond public scrutiny. By the 1990s, his name appeared on flight logs, guest lists, and invitation cards that rarely overlapped with ordinary life. The most surprising thing is who all visited this island. Wealthy people from all over the world, billionaires, royals, and famous celebrities. These include many big names like Britain's Prince Andrew, scientist Stephen Hawking, comedian Chris Ducker, and countless politicians and billionaires. Epstein moved easily among them, yet remained strangely undefined. He did not run a major hedge fund. He did not publish investment strategies. He did not appear in rankings that explained how fortunes were made. And still, he acquired properties in New York, Florida, New Mexico, Paris, and an island. By the early 2000s, estimates of his wealth reached into the hundreds of millions of dollars. Questions surfaced quietly, then faded. Nothing stuck. Nothing slowed him down. That changed in 2005. In Palm Beach, Florida, a 14-year-old girl and her parents walked into a police station. The girl told detectives she had been approached by another teenager who said she could earn a few $100s by giving a massage to a wealthy man. The house was large. The neighborhood was quiet. When Epstein appeared, according to her statement, he was wearing only a towel. What followed, she said, was sexual abuse. When police asked whether she knew anyone else who had been there, she gave them 2 names. Those 2 names led to interviews. The interviews led to more names. The pattern repeated with disturbing consistency. Same promises, same location, same outcome.
She led me up a staircase and we made a right into Jeffrey's room.
By the time Palm Beach police understood what they were dealing with, They were no longer looking at a single allegation. They were documenting a system. Girls described being encouraged to recruit other girls. Money changed hands. Each new introduction fed the next. Many of the victims were between 13 and 16 years old.
I was 16 years old. I was 16.
17, 14 years old.
This is me.
This was me.
This is me when I met Jeffrey Epstein.
Some came from unstable homes. Some had no adults willing or able to fight for them. Detectives would later say the stories were so similar, they felt rehearsed, even though the girls had never spoken to each other. By 2006, the case had expanded beyond the reach of local police. The FBI opened a federal investigation. Agents gathered statements across state lines. Documents were compiled. Evidence was organized. A 53-page report was prepared. Statements were taken from victims from Florida to New York and New Mexico. Epstein was charged with international sex trafficking. 36 minor victims, dozens of witnesses, an FBI investigation, and such heavy charges. A man like Jeffrey Epstein should have rotted in prison for the rest of his life. But the truth is, something else was going on behind the scenes. On paper, it looked like the kind of case that ends careers and lives. Then quietly, everything stopped. Behind closed doors, federal prosecutors negotiated with Epstein's legal team. What emerged was a deal so unusual that even seasoned attorneys struggled to explain it. Epstein would plead guilty to 2 minor prostitution-related charges. In exchange, he would receive immunity, not only for himself, but for unnamed associates. The agreement would be sealed. The victims would not be informed. When the deal became public years later, legal scholars would describe it as extraordinary. At the time, it passed without resistance. In June 2008, Epstein appeared in court. He pleaded guilty. He was sentenced to 18 months. Just 18 months. What that sentence meant in practice was something else entirely. Epstein was housed in a private wing of the Palm Beach County Jail. 6 days a week, he was allowed to leave for up to 12 hours to work at his office. Guards escorted him out in the morning and back at night. The jail became a place where he slept, not where he lived. In July 2009, he was released early. For the girls who had spoken to police, nothing followed. No trial, no testimony, no closure. The system moved on. So did Epstein. For nearly a decade, he travelled freely. His private jets continued to cross borders. His island remained active. Guests arrived and left without incident. The story faded from headlines. The man at the centre of it appeared untouched until 2018. That year, investigative journalist Julie K. Brown published a series of reports that reopened the entire case. She examined court records. She traced the secret plea deal. She tracked down victims who had never been contacted by authorities. More than 80 potential victims emerged. 8 went on record. Their stories filled in the gaps that had been sealed shut. Public reaction was immediate. Pressure mounted. Federal prosecutors in New York reopened the investigation. In July 2019, Jeffrey Epstein was arrested again, this time on charges of federal sex trafficking of minors. He was sentenced to 45 years in prison. For the first time, it appeared the story might end in a courtroom. It never did. On the morning of August 10th, 2019, Epstein was found unresponsive in his jail cell. He was alone. His cellmate had been transferred. Guards failed to perform required checks. Surveillance cameras malfunctioned. Officials later ruled his death a suicide. The absence of clear answers created space for doubt. The doubt spread. Almost immediately, attention shifted from Epstein to the people around him. Who had visited the island? Who had flown on his planes? Who had known and chosen silence? The phrase, "Epstein didn't kill himself," moved from message boards to mainstream conversation.
Epstein's cell before he was found dead, and that he really did take his own life. But it's only fueling more conspiracy theories.
It became shorthand for something larger. The belief that powerful people do not face consequences the way others do. Politicians began invoking the case. Promises were made. Files were mentioned. During the 2024 presidential campaign, Donald Trump repeatedly stated that, if elected, he would release all Epstein-related documents.
Would you declassify the Epstein files?
Yeah, I would.
In January 2025, Trump wins the election again and becomes President of the United States. Now everyone was waiting for the Epstein files to be released. In July, the Justice Department announced that no comprehensive client list existed and that no full release of files was planned. The issue was dismissed as overblown. Trump called it boring.
It's pretty boring stuff.
Democrat hoax that never ends.
A hoax, something not worth pursuing. Trump said that the FBI should focus on important issues like voter fraud and should not waste their energy and time on issues like Epstein. The reaction came quickly. Even longtime supporters asked why the subject had suddenly become untouchable. Online, speculation intensified. Old photographs resurfaced. Flight logs were re-examined. Past quotes were replayed. Under mounting pressure, Congress passed legislation requiring the release of Epstein-related documents. In November 2025, the bill became law. What followed was not clarity, but frustration. Thousands of pages were released in stages. Many were heavily redacted, names blacked out, dates removed, entire paragraphs erased. Some documents contradicted public statements. Others raised new questions without answering old ones. More than 1 million documents remain unreleased. Officials say the redactions are necessary. Critics say they are strategic. In several cases, the redactions themselves failed. Words could be seen through digital layers. Text reappeared when copied. The black bars meant to obscure details sometimes revealed more than they hid. What remains is an unfinished record. Jeffrey Epstein never faced a jury. No full accounting of his network has been made public. The island stands empty now, stripped of its mystery, but not its meaning. It is no longer a place of luxury. It is a symbol of how isolation can be engineered, of how systems can bend, of how stories can be delayed until they are.